Yes, Glasgow. Love this city, man. It's so good to be back in Scotland, to be honest, right? Because I started the year, went over to Australia, went over there to do like Melbourne, Sydney Comedy Festival and that. Very exciting, right? It was a big deal for me. It was the first time I got to go to another country to do comedy, right? Which means it was the first time I ever had to fill out a working visa to get into a country, because usually I'm just going on holiday. And it's very scary, that form to get into Australia, right? There's loads of questions. The big one is, they really want to know if you're a criminal, right? So it's like, have you had any prior convictions? And they're all there, right? Burglary, everything's there, right? And I'll be honest, given the history of that country, I genuinely didn't know if they wanted me to tick yes or no. I was like, oh, fuck it. I didn't want them to think I'm a pussy. Put me down for an assault. Get my rep up a bit here. The guy at the border was like, this assault? Was it racially motivated? I went, yes. And he was like, I'll get in, mate. The first place I landed in Australia was Perth, right? And if you've never been, like, Perth's big thing is that it's the most isolated city in the world, and it fucking feels like it. Right? And because of that, in this country, if I say the word junkie, right, immediately what you think of is a heroin addict, right? That's our thing. We're very good at it in Scotland, right? We made a film about it, right? We're class at it, right? Now, the thing about heroin, of course, it's a horrible drug, very scary, right? But the good thing about it is it does make the people that take it very docile. You know what I mean? You didn't really feel like getting up too much after a good batch, The problem with Perth is it's so far away from anywhere else that, like, none of the cartels bother to go there. So there's, like, no heroin, no cocaine, nothing like that, right? But what you can make anywhere, if you've got a kitchen, is meth. Right? And I know I've framed that in such a way that sounds like I'm going to be like, and if you stay around to the end of the show, I've got a great recipe. But meth is everywhere, and if you've never been around meth, it does not make people docile, no. Meth heads are up for a wee adventure. Couldn't believe it, man. The first time I got to Perth, I was wandering around the city centre, and I was like, oh my God, this city has so many silent discos. And I was like, wait a minute, none of these people are wearing headphones. And I think that guy's bleeding. So that was the first place I went, right? And of course, if anyone's been, it's a 24-hour flight. You land, you're upside down, the water's going the other way. You don't know what time it is. You don't know if it's New Year or New York, right? So I landed at about 7 p.m. Perth time, right? My agent had organised for me the next morning at 6 a.m. to be on a local Perth radio station to promote the shows that I was there to do, right? So, of course, I don't know what is happening. They're very nice. They sent a taxi to the hotel to pick me up. Right, I just got in it blindly. It could have been the fake taxi for all I know, I don't know if I was going to get pumped or dropped off, But I got in. But anyway, I get to the station, it's all nice. They're being really nice to me. They get me coffee, they're making me feel dead comfortable and that, right? And what I didn't know, I'd never done live radio before, but it makes sense, when they're bringing you in to do your live interview and that, they have to play a pre-recorded bit of radio while they're getting you set up. But when you're in the studio, you can't hear that, right? Someone can hear it in their headphones, but you can't hear it. And what I had no idea, they were playing this pre-recorded kind of interview debate piece about the Australian women's football team, right? They call them the Matildas. And it was quite a heated debate thing. I had no idea, right? So I get brought in, and it's a female presenter on the thing, and she brings me in, she's like, I'm joined here by Scottish stand-up comedian Connor Burns. He's doing some shows in Perth, but before we get to that, Connor, why do you think women's sports isn't taken seriously? Excuse me? I thought you were going to ask me if I miss Iron Brew. Didn't realise I was here to fix the gender pay gap. I would have revised, And you know what? She saw that I was panicking and starting to squirm a bit, and she was fucking loving it. She was like, "Oh, a stand-up comedian lost for words, first time for everything on." I was like, fuck! My career was disappearing in front of me, right? And I'm convinced in my panic, I came out with the single worst possible answer to that question anyone could have said, right? I just started to panic. I was like, I'll watch women do anything. She looked at me, she was like, Then I panicked again. I was like, no, like, I'll watch men as well. I'd been in the country for less than 12 hours. I've just told thousands of people on morning radio that I'm a peeping Tom. I'd done 4 shows in Perth, not a single woman came to any of them. Apparently it wasn't safe. Just a bunch of angry guys. It was like an Andrew Tate convention. It was sad. I really did enjoy my time there, man. I got to do some of the best gigs in my career over there as well. They really spoiled me. I got to perform at the Sydney Opera House, right? Yeah, I know. I'm very working class, right? And I'll be honest with you, as a working class person, there's a wee voice, you know, when you get a big opportunity like that to play at the Opera House, there's always that wee voice in your head that's just going, who the fuck do you think you are? Do you think these people give a shit what you've got to say, really? Right? And I started to get nervous. I was freaking out. It was being filmed for Australian TV. I was really starting to get nervous, right? So I went and found one of the other comedians who was also going to be on the show, and he's a mate of mine. And I went, mate, I'm freaking out a wee bit here, all right? I'm starting to get to myself. And he went, oh, Connor, you know what's wrong with you, right? And I always stick around for the end of that sentence. Yeah. Nothing like being diagnosed by someone who I also know is mentally ill, right? He was like, you know what's wrong with you, mate? He went, you've got imposter syndrome. Right? Have we heard this? Because it used to be, if you were shite at something, rightfully, you were ashamed of yourself, right? But, you know, don't let lack of talent hold you back now. But I'll be honest, I was quite excited when I found out that I had imposter syndrome, right? And I was like, this could be good for the brand, shift a few tickets, you know? I was excited. Plus, I'll be honest, I thought, well, maybe I can get myself a disabled parking badge here. Because I live in the centre of Edinburgh, fucking nightmare trying to get parked through there. I went down to the DVLA office, right? I went in, the guy was like, what exactly is the condition that you have? And I went, oh, buddy. I'm actually struggling right now with imposter syndrome. He went, and you think that entitles you to a disabled parking badge, do you? And I went, well, to be honest, mate, now that you've put it like that, I kind of feel like I don't even deserve to be here. And he went, Connor, this is one of the worst cases I've ever seen. You park wherever you want, son. I loved my time in Australia, man. I really, really did. Has anyone here been to Australia? Couple, nice, man. Well, maybe you will agree with me here. The thing I loved about Australia is I got to experience something over there as a Scotsman that I've never experienced here, right? I got to be exotic. And I'll be honest with you, it's class, right? Because they love the Scottish accent, right? But by way of making some noise, anyone here who isn't Scottish or that, do you find the Scottish accent sexy? You know what the fucked up part is? I actually agree with you. I think it's all bullshit that Hollywood has like tricked women into thinking that Scottish accent's sexy. Because I know my girlfriend's American. She was all excited when she first came here. She's like, I'm gonna fall in love with a Scotsman. Like the idea of a Scottish accent, there's not one. You know what I mean? Imagine being American, coming over here, love-struck eyes, and being like, I want to meet a nice Scotsman. And you end up getting shagged by some guy for Fife. Say, oh, I keep going like that, I'm going to kick in my breeks, eh? That's a mood killer, that. You know what? My agent specifically asked me not to make any of the jokes in this too Scottish. Because she's like, we don't know what part of the world people are going to be watching it, but I was like, I'm keeping that one in. Because the idea of someone in like Tennessee watching this and be like, what the hell is kicking my brakes? Sounds a little fruity to me. It's not just Scottish that gets like a wee leg up from Hollywood as well. I think Hollywood's done a lot of good for Irish as well, right? Because the Americans are always like, oh my God, Irish guys, oh, it's so sexy, it's so hot. Right? I cannot think of anything more sexually terrifying than going to bed with someone with a Belfast accent. Just put your trousers next to mine. Lay back, I'm gonna blow you away. That's scary. By the way, has anyone seen that viral video about the taxi driver in Belfast? Has anyone seen this? Oh man, it was nuts. So this taxi driver is also like a bit of a gangster, but he drives taxis on the side, right? And he picks up a guy, and unbeknownst to him, the guy gets in, and it's a guy that owes him drug money. Right, so the Belfast taxi driver goes into his glove compartment and takes out a handgun, right? Forgetting that his cab is being filmed, and starts shaking down this passenger, right? And it starts out dead scary. He's like, you know you owed me that money. I've got half a mind to drive you down here and take your kneecaps, lad. Right? But then, the reason I love this clip is it turns into the most Irish back and forth you've ever seen in your life. Because it starts out dead scary, right? And then eventually the guy in the back starts to cry. And the driver just goes, sure now, there's no need to cry. We all make mistakes, lad. Pull yourself together. I'll give you another fortnight, but then I'm coming for the kneecaps. Oh, wow, how reasonable. Having the Scottish accent, it's absolutely nuts over there. Like, they really do like it over in Australia. Like, I was wandering about one day, just in Sydney, right? And this woman came up to ask for directions. And she's like, excuse me, do you know the way to Darling Harbour? And I'd been, so I went, oh, aye, no worries. I just go to the bottom of the street and then turn right. And she went, oh my God, are you Scottish? Yeah, I was like, oh, here we go. You know, because I'm not a piece of meat. It's like, why do they never ask me how I feel? I've got a long-term girlfriend, right, and like I was not over there trying to catch any snapper, right? That's not my modus operandi. So I was over there and I was like, I don't know how to deal with flirting, I'll be honest, because I've never been flirted with in this country. Right? Because I know what I look like. I'm not the best looking guy, not the worst looking guy, just aggressively plain. My best mate summed it up perfectly. He was like, Connor, do you know what you look like? Do you know when you start playing a computer game? You get your character. But you haven't changed any of the settings yet. So you look like player one. Right? So I'm not used to being flirted with, right? And Aussie women, they're very direct with their flirting. I couldn't handle it, right? And I love my girlfriend. I wasn't going to do anything stupid. So I came up with a wee plan, right? Anytime an Aussie woman started flirting with me, I would just nip it right in the bud by pretending to be South African. Now, I like South African people, man, they're good people, but you've got to admit, that's an unshaggable accent. It's too percussive and angry, it's scary, you know? Like, you imagine she asked me for directions, like, excuse me, do you know the way to Darling Harbour? I'm just like, yeah, no problem, I can take you there myself, Why are you running away? I'm trying to help you. Come on, take me back to your place. Maybe I could shoot you through the bathroom door. I'll just let that one digest. And by the way, to the one or two sick people that tried to start a round of applause there, I love you with all my heart. Although that is a scary joke to get a clap on. right? Because it's very dark in here, and part of me is like, oh my God, maybe he's here and he's running towards me, you know? That might be his wee spatula feet on the tiles. I looked him up recently, Oscar Pistorius, not like in the yellow pages, like, hey mate, what you doing? Because like I was quite young when all that happened, and I knew like he was a horrible guy. I knew he'd killed his girlfriend, but I didn't know that much about him, right? Obviously, he's a sprinter, so fast in the Paralympics that they put him into the Olympics, right? Unbelievable. Anyone know what Oscar Pistorius ran 100 meters in? 10.9 seconds, which is rapid. Legged. But unlegged. Unbelievable. Unheard of, right? And I was going down on this wee wormhole looking this stuff up, and then I also discovered the fastest female sprinter of all time, right? Anyone know what she runs 100 meters in? A wee bikini. To be honest, that one's kind of just for me. No, I looked it up. She runs it in 10.7 seconds, right? She's 0.2 of a second quicker than Pistorius, which is amazing. Very, very impressive, right? But like 0.2 of a second, that's not much, right? That's like, you know, a bad start, a wee slip, a sneeze, right? And the fastest woman of all time running full pelt could still be overtaken by a guy with spatulas for feet. Now, I'm just presenting you with some information. But I'll be honest, when I read that, the first thing that popped into my mind was, you know, maybe, just maybe, that is why women's sports isn't taken seriously. Right, I understand the women are a bit pissed off now, right? I'm just messing about. This is a God's honest truth. I made all of the numbers up there. None of that's true. The fastest female sprinter is actually an entire second quicker than Oscar Pistorius. But you didn't care about that. You believed me. Because I'm a man. All right? And I want to be clear, sisters, I think that's fucked up. But it doesn't make it any less true. All right? I'm very lucky to have my girlfriend. I mentioned her earlier, right? I feel like some of you know why I'm lucky to have her now, having listened to what you've just heard. I love her to bits, and she's so ridiculously out of my league, it's embarrassing, right? But not even just like looks-wise, intellectually, she's on a whole other level. For a starter, she has a proper job. Yeah, she's a criminal defence lawyer. Yeah, I know, which is handy. It does get a bit annoying though, because it does mean I can never complain about my job to her. You know what I mean? I can't go home after a bad gig and be like, they didn't really laugh at my Oscar Pistorius joke. She's like, oh cool, I had to sit opposite a rapist today. I'm like, oh well, sounds like we both had tough ones. It's not a competition, honey. I don't know how she does it. Criminal defence, that must take it out of you, man. Like, she's used to sitting opposite the most low-life, lying sack of shit. Right? Then she finishes her breakfast and has to go be a lawyer. It's funny though, man, because like she's in a very male-dominated industry, right? Most lawyers tend to be middle-aged guys, right? And she puts up with some shit in the workplace. She's told me some horrible stories. You know, she's fully qualified. Guys just assume that she's like a secretary, send her on coffee runs and that, and it's bullshit. And I know that some of the women in this room have had to deal with that kind of shit, and I'm sorry. All right? And I have to say this, equal pay, equal work, I'm with you. All right? Despite that earlier sports joke. But if we are going to be completely honest with ourselves here, ladies, equality is a two-way street. And I think we need to address the fact that there's a few places in life where maybe yous have had it a wee bit easier than us. And if we're really going to have equality, we need to fix them as well. All right? Do you feel the tension in the room right now? Don't think I don't feel it. Oh, I feel it. Makes me so horny. I know what's happening right now. Every woman in the room is sitting there going, just you be very fucking careful what you say next, you little prick, all right? Right, and let me try and win you back here, right? I genuinely think that women have had it a wee bit easier than men in the bedroom, right? Now let me dig myself out of this hole. Right, and I need to preface this by saying that I can only really talk about straight women here. Right, and it's not because I'm trying to exclude any lesbians that might be in the room. It's just that I'm 29 years old, and if I'm being completely honest, I have no idea what the fuck you guys get up to. I love the lesbians. Honestly, it is my lifelong dream to just have like a big group of lesbian pals. Imagine being the only straight guy in a group of lesbians. What a fucking laugh you would have. You know, just me and the gals out and about. You know, we've got so many shared interests, you know. We all like the golf. Right? We all love Fanny. It would be a laugh. And if there are any lesbians here, genuinely, I want you to know I'm a huge fan of the movement. I watch all the films. I'm actually sending money to a couple of girls on OnlyFans right now. Yeah, I'm actually sponsoring a couple of lesbians, that's right. Yeah, $5 a month. Aye. I was sending it to a starving African boy, but, you know, he was getting it for 4 years. Not once did I get a video of a carrot going up his arse. So I'm sorry, wee man, it's a buyer's market. The reason I want lesbian pals is because I've just got some questions. The main one I want to know, I'm desperate to understand, is how do lesbians know when sex is finished? Yeah, think about it, yeah. You know, because it's very obvious in a straight relationship, at least it is in my household. Usually over very quickly. With a muttered apology. And then the sad collection of a towel. Now you just stay there, honey, I'll get it. No, don't touch me, don't touch me. I just want to know, how do you know it's over? I assume you're just going at it, having an amazing time. Oh, multiple orgasms over and over all night. Eventually one of you is just like, we should probably pack this in. Top Gear starts in 10 minutes. I don't know. But I do think that straight women have had it a wee bit easier than straight men in the bedroom, right? And now let me explain myself. Because as a woman, right, the first time you go down on a man, right, no doubt that must be scary. Of course it must be scary. But you've got to admit, willies, very simple. Dead easy to figure out, you know? Yeah, a willy is like an iPhone. As soon as it's in your hand, you know how to work it. Whereas on the other hand, you know, lads, I know we don't like to talk about this, but listen, I'll speak up, brothers. Right? I'll be the canary in the coal mine here. The first time you go down on a nice lady, it's fucking terrifying. You know, you're down there, you're alone, it's dark. You can't see it, but you can sense its presence. It's like the predator when it takes its mask off. Maybe if I stay still, it can't see me. Arnie's in the corner like, if it bleeds, we can kill it! But what do, lads? We man up, we stick our face in, and we learn on the job. Yes. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. You just start doing like, I'll start doing the alphabet with my tongue. Maybe she's a C. Start throwing in all different kinds of wee patterns. Try a swastika, I don't know. Maybe she's into that. And look, I'll be honest, right? Maybe I am doing it wrong. But fucking hell, you're no half doing there for a while, eh? Bloody ridiculous. Because I feel like we're all friends now, Glasgow, I'll be honest, right? I come fast. Right? And it's led to me being described as a selfish lover. And I'm like, I think that's bullshit. How is that selfish, right? You know, I know you're busy, honey. You've got court in the morning. Let's get this over and done with. Get a good sleep, all right? I'll tell you what's selfish, sending me down there for 20 minutes gasping for air like Jacques Cousteau. It's a ridiculous amount of time to be doing anything, honestly. And halfway through, you've got to shout up for that wee match report. What's happening up there, darling? She's like, just keep going, I'm getting closer. So is that closer or close? Says, you're getting closer, I'm down here getting fucking lockjaw, all right? Bloody ridiculous, man. I mean, I went down on my girlfriend once, right? And when I came back up, Liz Truss had resigned. So I'm sure you'll be very glad to know I've thought about this at length, all right? And I think what needs to happen is the first time a man is about to go down on a nice lady, right, what needs to happen is on the way down, someone just needs to slip on a wee headset on him, right? And then somewhere in an air traffic control tower is a lesbian, right? I thought about putting a guy up there, but that's just the blind leading the blind, right? We need someone who knows where everything is and how it works. Right? Picture it, it'll be amazing, right? You're about to go down on this lady, right? Someone slips on the wee headset. You just hear, psh, okay, Connor, just stay calm. All right, I know you've never done this before, but if you listen to me very carefully, I will get you down safely, okay? My name's Connie from Aer Lingus. Just call me Connie Lingus. So stupid. All right, Connor, if you look down, you should see the landing strip, okay? Can you see that? Right, that's good, Connor. If you look down to your left now, you should see a flap. Lift that. Right, underneath there's a wee red button. Give that a push. Let me know what happens. She's shaking! You've done well, Connor. I'm going to leave you from here. I'm like, thank you, Connie. You get yourself up the road. Top Gear starts in 10 minutes. My girlfriend is class, though. But also, she is way, way smarter than me, right? It's embarrassing, right? Because I don't know if you guys have picked up on this, but I'm a fucking idiot. Right, like, I can hold a conversation, I can get by, but, like, I'd say once a week, I do something so fucking stupid that, like, I look about afterwards and go, fuck, I hope nobody saw that. You know? I had one of the worst ones ever a couple of weeks ago. It was in Glasgow, right? I was wandering around the city centre, and I saw a guy walking a wee dog, right? And the wee dog had a jacket on, and the jacket said, deaf dog. Right? Okay. So I ran over and I was like, oh my God, how long has he been deaf for? And the guy went, what? And I went, like, was he born deaf or did he have a wee accident? What happened? And the guy went, what? And then I realised I'm a fucking idiot. I went, oh, sorry, oh no, sorry, you're deaf and the dog's to help, all right. I was like, well, to be honest, mate, that's not really that clear, you know? You know, from over the street, it really does look like it's the dog that's deaf. Right? Because, you know, blind people, it doesn't say blind dog, it says see and eye dog. So if anything, Jake, it should really say hear and ear dog. And the guy went, what? I was like, oh no, I'm making an arse of this. Oh, started panicking, I looked down at the dog, I was like, mate, tell him I said sorry. Eventually, the guy took his AirPods out and went, listen, mate, stop talking to my dog, it's deaf. And I know I've been a bit harsh on women in the show, right? And I hope you know I'm just pissing about. I happen to think men are much fucking stupider, all right? But guys that have absolutely no business whatsoever cheating, cheat. And that's what's weird to me. You know, like, what people are like, oh my God, Brad Pitt cheated on Angelina Jolie. You're like, well, aye, he's Brad Pitt. He could shag me if he wanted. Fucking Brad Pitt, all right? I don't know if you guys know this. This is God's honest truth, right? Stephen Hawking cheated on his wife with his nurse. I'm sorry, I'll say that again. Stephen Hawking cheated on his wife with his nurse. I'll be honest, right? I don't know how much Stephen had to do with that affair. But it just pisses me off because everyone talks about him like so positively just because he was clever. I'm like, we're glazing over the fact that he was actually a dirty little bastard. And I tell you what, I hope there is a stairway to heaven. And I hope hell's got a ramp, right? I love my girlfriend, as I was saying earlier, man. But funny thing is, right, we're from different classes, you know. I'm very working class. She's very much like upper middle class, you know. And she's American. She went to all these like, you know, fee-paying private international schools, right? I went to a piece of shit state high school through in Edinburgh. It was awful. We were always at like bottom of leaderboards for school stuff. Right? My school had to cancel sports day one year because they found a hypodermic needle in the sandpit. And the fucked up part was I remember my PE teacher being like, lads, just jump over it. Well, think of it as an incentive. In first place with 2.9 metres, Jamie, great effort, son. All right. In last place with hepatitis. Wee Gary, unlucky, mate, unlucky. Better luck next year, if you're still here. It's funny though, because she's kind of making me middle class. You know, like she's got all these wee middle class hobbies and stuff. Like a big one that she loves is she loves to go shopping in vintage shops. Remember back in the day where those were called charity shops? And you'd get bullied if somebody saw you come out one. Now it's 45 quid for a pair of Levi's with somebody else's skid marks on them. When did that big rebrand happen? My girlfriend will brag about stuff that she found in charity shops, right? And I think that's a mad thing to brag about. Like, she'll be like, you'll never believe what I found. Vintage YSL handbag, easily worth £500. Got it for a £5. And, like, people are like, oh, my God, that's amazing. So you shouldn't be bragging about that. Imagine if I went to the pub with my mates. I was like, lads, you'll never believe what I got up to today. Right? Went into Dementia UK. Stole 495 quid. As I say, you know, staying with someone who's from a bit larger class than you, she's upper middle class, right? And she's kind of dragging me up to the middle classes, right? And I really thought, with my background, I've got such a chip on my shoulder that I'd have to be dragged there. I'm not like these toffs, right? And I'll be honest with you, Glasgow, now that I'm kind of on my way there, it is fucking better, all right? I love being better than most people. It's class. Right? And that is, man. I quite like it. She's moved us into a dead, trendy area. We live in the West End of Edinburgh now, right? It's quite trendy. I'll be honest with you, as someone that grew up on a council estate, I actually miss the fear a wee bit. You know what I mean? You kind of learn to love it. Like, I still get paid cash for a lot of gigs, and, you know, getting home after the gig was always like my own wee Squid Game. Because you start to learn a place. You know, you're like, oh, I can't go down Stabby Alley after about 9. No, everyone knows that's where Rapey John sleeps. And I'm not getting caught again. Fool me once, John. I couldn't even imagine getting mugged where I live now. It would be embarrassing, you know? Just a couple of gender-neutral vegans run out of an alley. One of them pulls a knife, I just pull out a pepperami. I'm like, this is real meat, get back, I will use it. Be like something out of West Side Story getting mugged where I live. And they'd come out like, tss, 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 Oh, you came to the wrong part of town, guy. Come on, get 'em, thems. This is a point in the show, you know, I'd quite like to talk about my dad, right, because he is a Glaswegian guy. He's a good lad as well, man. He's 74, right? And I say I'm working class, he's proper working class, you know. He came for nothing, worked in the shipyards, left school before he even sat an exam, right? He's a great, great guy, I love him, right? But because, you know, he's 74, Glaswegian, extremely working class, he's got some opinions. Not all of them are particularly fashionable right now. You know? But it doesn't mean he's an evil guy, right? And no one in here better be judging him, because I tell you right now, I guarantee every single family, we've all got that person. Usually an uncle you tuck away at functions. You know? And it doesn't mean they're evil people, it doesn't mean they've got a bad heart or that, you know? It just means, generally, I didn't introduce them to my black mates. He's just from a very different generation, you know? Like, he looks at my generation as if we're fucking useless, you know? And I'll be honest, we haven't done much to disprove him. Especially, I really started noticing it during the pandemic, right? He was hitting me with all this stuff where he was like, come on, Connor, you're 28 now, right? What's your plan for getting on the property ladder? And I was like, plan? To be honest, Dad, I was kind of hoping you would die of COVID. I really had all my financial eggs in that basket. I thought it was a given, you know? Mid-70s, ex-chain smoker. I was like, this is easy. Every day I went round to visit him during the pandemic. I've never visited him every day in his life. Sometimes I'll go straight for an illegal rave right to his. Start licking door handles and that. Come on, let's free up some housing. Every time I went round, he looked better. I was like, what's happening, Benjamin Button? I love people in his generation, man. By way of making some noise, who in here is, let's say, over 50? A few years. Be proud, right? Yous are class. Yous are the best generation, right? Because I'm 29 now. I'm a millennial. I tell you right now, I'd much rather go out for a drink with the over 50s than I would people my age. God, you go out for a drink with people my age, it brings you down. Like, all right, mate, how have you been? Long time no see. He's like, oh my God, I'm so glad you asked. I'm actually really struggling with my anxiety. Oh, for fuck's sake. Only came out for a pint. You didn't get any of that shite when you go out with the over 50s. None of yous are worried about your mental health. No, yous are worried about your health. I don't care that I've been hiding depression from my own family for 30 years. It's my knee. Never used to click like that. You hear that? Everyone over 50's got a dodgy knee. It's when they both go, that's sad, you know? Got to walk about like Elton John at Glastonbury. Tell you though, the generation that I feel like actually a bit sorry for because of the last few years and stuff is the generation after mine, right? They're called Gen Z. Do we have any Gen Zs in? Nice! With the confidence of someone who thought there was going to be way more. Can I ask how old you are? 21, nice one. Did you mean to come to the gig or are you chasing a Pokemon on your phone? I think there's a wee Pikachu down the front here. You know, but even younger than that, you know, if you're like a teenager now, if you're like 17, 18 right now, how the hell are you supposed to be optimistic about the world? You know, you're looking at it and you're like, oh my God, the planet's dying. World War III's kicking off. The government's collapsing in front of us. What are we going to do? Let's just do a wee TikTok dance. Come on. Come on. Let's get this trending. Maybe the adults will see it. They'll know what to do. Hashtag twerk for Ukraine. That's the problem with Gen Z, though. The problem is, like, they didn't come to a problem with any, like, solutions or any actual answers. All they care about is raising awareness. We're making this TikTok to raise awareness because the planet is sad. Awareness means fuck all. We know that. Like, we need a proper solution to the problem. Like, if I woke up tomorrow morning, right, and I couldn't get a hard on, for example. Just off the top of my head. I wouldn't go stand at a bus stop with my willy in my hand, like, sorry, Waz, just trying to raise a wee bit of awareness here. Wait, go to the doctor, you creep. I tried, I'm not allowed back there anymore. It's crazy, man. I feel genuinely sorry, though, man. If you're a teenager right now, you're fucked. Because any time a teenager does, like, speak up and they're like, I want to be the change in the world. You know, the rest of us have made it perfectly clear that we couldn't give a fuck. If you don't believe me, just look at how the world reacted to Greta Thunberg. Right? One day, this 15-year-old Swedish girl came on TV and she just went, maybe we shouldn't put the plastic bags on the dolphins' faces. And everyone over the age of 40 just went, will someone get this uppity little bitch an iPad? It's making me sick, actually. Listen, Greta, when I was 15, we'd have been out shagging dolphins, right? That was a proper childhood, right? You don't know you're born. It's a fucking mental way to react to someone that's trying to fix the planet. But the thing about that, look, when it comes to healing the planet and fixing the ozone layer and all that, of course I want to do that. Of course I do. You'd be mental if you didn't want to do that. You know, if I have kids, I want them to enjoy the earth the same way I got to enjoy it. Right? But I do think it's bullshit that it gets put on, you know, me and you, like normal people. I bet you're all nice, reasonable people. You're all at home doing your bit, you know, washing out your yogurt pots, running about with a wee bag for life, as if it makes any bit of difference. You know, meanwhile, China is on fire. Pisses me off, man. You know, we're doing all this stuff. Meanwhile, thousands of miles up there, right? You've got Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Richard Branson, literally racing each other to Mars. Right? In the world's biggest dick measuring contest. Burning thousands and thousands of gallons of jet fuel. Meanwhile, I'm down here on Earth in a 1-litre Ford Fiesta. Try to suck a McDonald's milkshake through a fucking paper straw. How the fuck is that fair? It's ridiculous. I'm sick of being told by billionaires that we need to reduce our single-use plastic. Oh. Tell me right now, what do you think is worse for the ocean? Me chucking away a straw, or them going down there on a single-use submarine? Too soon? And look, can we just agree as a society that the paper straw, not fit for purpose? We've not fixed that problem, we've just made a new problem. All right? It's ridiculous, especially against a powerful enemy like the McDonald's milkshake. I don't know what they're putting in that, but it's like liquid concrete. I nearly passed out in my car trying to drink one of them. Like, no, I can feel it, it's coming. Put your windy up, my straw's getting soft. Just need more blood in my legs, I can do this. Mentioned my dad earlier, man. He genuinely, though, as much as he gives me a hard time, he's my absolute hero, right? He's one of the funniest guys ever. He's got that typical Glasgow thing of, like, he's at his absolute funniest when he does not mean to be funny. I remember one time, he drinks in this wee bowling club, right? And he goes up once every month or so, right? And one time I went up with him, and he ran into an old pal who he hadn't seen for a few years. Right? And he was on his way down the corridor, and he goes, "Oh, Stevie, how you doing, pal?" Blah, blah, blah. Right? Now, in the couple years that they hadn't seen each other, Stevie had had the worst turn of events. He's like, "Oh, you know, the cancer came back and took my Margaret. Oh. Then my laddie was in that horrible accident where he crashed into my other lad and they both died." You know, and you're like, Jesus Christ, Stevie. I watched the life drain out of my dad's eyes. You know, it was as if to say, he was like, "I'll be honest, Stevie, I was just going for a piss, right? I was being polite and you're taking the arse out a wee bit here." Right? But he didn't say that. My dad listened. He was very nice, very patient, very compassionate, right? And then he got to the end. Stevie had finished his big story, right? And my dad just looked at him, paused for a wee second and went, patted him on the shoulder. He just went, "Oh, well, Stevie, you can only piss with the cock you've got." And then just bout turned and fucked off. Just left me there with Stevie. My condolences. But he is, man, he's a great guy. So this story, right, it happens last Christmas and New Year, the one that's just passed, right? It was a big deal. I was supposed to go over to just outside Montreal. My girlfriend's parents live there. She's American, but they live in Canada now, right? And we were supposed to go over for Christmas and New Year. And it was a really big deal. I'd met them, but I'd never spent a big period of time with them, and it was going to be really nice, right? We get over there, and we're supposed to come home on the 9th of January, right? My entire family, mum, dad, brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, everybody, they'd all organised to go on a family holiday to Spain on the 5th of January, right? So I'd get back, they'd already all be away. I'll be honest, I took the hint. Message received, all right? Right, so we're having an amazing time in Canada. I'm getting on like a house on fire with my in-laws and stuff. It's great. And then at 2 a.m, on the morning of the 5th of January, I get a phone call, middle of the night, and I pick it up. It's my sister. She's in floods of tears. And she just goes, Connor, we're at the airport. It's Dad. He's having a stroke. And I was like, oh, shit. Right? And I paused for a second. And I was like, well, maybe he's just nervous about the flight. Let him finish, you know? I know it wasn't the time for a wank joke, but I deal with tragedy through humour, right? She was like, no, Connor, I'm really scared. Like, someone's working on him. We're waiting for the paramedics. We're really scared we're going to lose him and that, right? So immediately, you know that when you get a horrible phone call like that, you just get like a surge of adrenaline and you go into problem-solving mode, right? So I got up. The whole house got up. Her parents were up. Everyone's crying and that, right? So then I realised, like, right, first thing I need to do, I need to change my flight home to today. I need to get home. Right, so I get on the phone to British Airways, right? I'm on hold for like 40 minutes. Eventually, I get through to the British Airways call centre, right, which is in a part of Britain called Mumbai. Right. Now, I'll be honest with you, right? For legal and career reasons, I absolutely cannot do that guy's accent. But I want you to know that what is happening right now in your head, it was exactly that, all right? It's the most stereotypical Indian accent I've ever heard in my life, right? And of course, he's hitting me with that. I'm Scottish and in them floods of tears, right? So I'm unintelligible as well, right? So we're butting heads trying to get through each other. Eventually, this guy's like, look, I can change your flight home to today, but it's going to cost you £750, right? And I was like, I don't care, it's my dad. Do it, let's go, I need to get home, right? So I'm now looking at a 9-hour flight back to Edinburgh Airport with no phone signal, no idea what's happened to my dad. It was absolutely horrible, right? So the first thing I do when I touch down, I get straight on the phone to my sister. I'm like, what's happening? How is he? What's happening, right? And she's like, it's no good, Connor. They're running all these tests. They still think he's had a stroke. Like, he's getting worked on by the stroke team right now. And she's like, we're really scared. Please just get here. Right, so I just go straight from the airport to the hospital. Get in there, get to the waiting room. All my brothers and sisters are standing around, whole family, everyone's in tears, giving each other hugs. It's horrible, right? You know, at that point, I'm £750 down. Right? And I know that's harsh to bring up, but noteworthy, okay? I'm looking around at all my brothers and sisters and that. They've all just had to cancel a 2-week all-inclusive holiday with all their kids and all that, right? So between us, we're about 10 grand in the hole. Right? Eventually, we're standing about for hours, and eventually a nurse comes out to collect us, right? She's like, listen, are you the Burns family? I went, yeah. She went, I've got some fantastic news about your dad. We've ran all the tests, brain scans, blood tests, everything. Everything has come back completely normal, right? Your dad didn't have a stroke. What did happen was he had a very serious bout of vertigo. Yeah, you know, like from the 1940s. Now, of course, we were all happy that our dad was less ill than we thought he was. Of course we were. But I'll tell you, there was a glance exchanged amongst the brothers and sisters. Right? Now, the words were never spoken, but the subtext was definitely... Kind of feels like we've paid for a stroke here. I don't need to see him get wheeled out in a chair, but a wee bit of like, you know. Don't feel like we're asking for much here, it's 10 grand. Eventually, we're allowed to go in and see our dad, right? And he's lying there like a sack of tatties, right? He's been through the wars, right? And because he's like a working class Glaswegian guy, his first reaction isn't just to be happy that he's alive. You know, because he's inherently miserable, right? So the main thing he's dealing with is he's just so embarrassed that he caused all of this hoo-ha over vertigo. And I'll be honest with you, we did let him bathe in that for a wee bit, right? Of course, we were so happy to see him, like, obviously, but he's just, he can't believe that he's upset everybody like this, right? And of course, we'll be like, Dad, chill, right? Eventually, the doctor comes in to tell him that he can go home and all that. And he comes in, my dad starts apologising straight away. He's like, oh, doctor, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I've done all this. Oh, here I am lying in the stroke unit, being seen by the best doctors in the hospital. He's like, you know, I might be lying here taking a bed off of somebody that's actually having a stroke. I really feel like I didn't even deserve to be in here. The doctor just went, Mr. Burns, have you been checked for imposter syndrome? I'll be honest, I had no idea it could be passed down like that. Glasgow, this has honestly been an absolute dream come true. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. There was nowhere else I wanted to film my first ever special than right here in one of the best comedy clubs in the country and the funniest city in the fucking world. All right, please, thank you so, so much. Thank you so much, right? But just before I go, I'd like to end with this, right? If you've got a drink or that, if I ask you just to raise it for a wee second, right? Just because, unfortunately, he couldn't be here, but just raise a wee toast to my dad. He's fine, he's just on an all-inclusive holiday in Benidorm. Glasgow, you guys are incredible. I've been Connor Burns, thank you so much. Cheers.